We will call this work session to order. The 13th, 2022 is 11:30 a.m. approximately. We're in the Board of Supervisors Executive Conference Room, Melody Lane, Bisbee. Any item on this agenda is open for discussion. We begin with the roll call. District 1.
Crosby's here.
District 2, English is present. District 3.
Supervisor Judd is here.
We have a complete
Hello.
board. Members of the public may also attend this meeting by Microsoft Teams computer or mobile app or by phone by calling 602-609-7513 or 888-680-6713. Conference ID 475-728-180#. If you have trouble accessing this meeting remotely, call 520-432-9200 for direction. Work sessions are a time for the county staff to inform and discuss agenda items with the Board of Supervisors, and public comments will not be taken. Introductions as usual with a work session. When someone begins to speak, would you give your name and your title for the record that we keep? Today it's about engineering and natural resource department transportation projects. So I'm going to turn it over to Jackie Watkins, our Director of Engineering, and Karen Lamberton, who is here from the
Sierra Vista NPO.
MPO. Trying to think what the letters were.
That's the MPO. We only know the acronym.
So, Jackie, are you starting it out?
Yes. Okay. So this is an update of what we've done this last year and projects for next year. And Karen will start off explaining a little bit about the MPO and the projects that we have jointly with the MPO and City of Sierra Vista.
So good morning, Supervisor English and Crosby and Judd. I'm very pleased to be here. As you know, Cochise County is part of the Sierra Vista Metropolitan Planning Organization, which is a regional organization coordinating with City of Sierra Vista and the town of Wichita City. And we do a number of activities, and the primary activity that we do for the region is a long-range transportation planning, where we're looking out 20 to 30 years and trying to project those needs. I provided a packet of information we won't go through, but I do want to assure you not only we're posted in public meetings, but we're also online with Cochise County and Sierra Vista, so if you're interested in further follow-up on it. But one of those items that we did work on for Cochise County was a 2040 long-range transportation plan, and all of you have them piled in your offices. And at some point, I did bring some extras. This plan was then poured into and embedded into the 2050 long-range transportation plan for the region, the Sierra Vista NPO. And that plan was completed in August of 2021 last year, and included the development of transportation plan goals and priorities for those goals. And these handouts are also available to you. And but these priorities are very familiar to you: safety, system preservation, regionally significant, those kinds of elements. From that came a prioritized list of the top items within the region that they felt the MPO should focus on from a study standpoint and from a funding standpoint. We are primarily a planning organization with a tiny bit of funding for construction, kind of like a carrot, saying, hey, let's all get to the table together. And the top 3 projects that fell out of this effort was one here at the county, which is Mosen Road, which is very critical both throughout the region. Theater Drive, which is a road jointly between the city and the county, and a Skyline Drive, which serves the fort and the landfill issues there in town of Wichita City. And so we began working on all 3 of these projects in what's called the Transportation Improvement Program, which is our kind of 5-year program with our board. I'm sure you're all aware that Supervisor Judd is your representative on our Sierra Vista NPO board and participated actively in this effort. There is an effort to look for funding through a state earmark And that's what these two sheets are here showing, are just some draft stuff being used on advocacy and lobbying efforts. They are not engineered estimates or timeframes or anything. They're designed for outreach to state legislators. So just so you're aware of that. What we've done is provided some funding for the design phases, the pre-design, like up to 15%. The NPO has provided about $470,000 in planning funds to the county, and then has set aside $1 million to assist with the design on Mosen Road in fiscal year 23. That's this year. So we're really moving on that. So the purpose of this session here is to help you understand those two projects. And I think that's where we are at the end of that. We're going to jump right into Theater Drive and Mosen Road, and Brad will take questions. We'll start the Theater Drive and let you know about that one.
Brad Simmons, I'm the engineering manager for engineering and natural resources. And this is the Theater Drive inventory and roadway assessment. Our consultant for this project is Wilson & Company, who held our kickoff meeting in April of this year, and it is funded through SVMPO for $120,000. It is a joint project with the city, working towards creating a more cohesive corridor through there, a little more uniform sidewalk, gutter, curb. And our consultant looked at the feasibility of improving the roadway alignment, drainage, and overall corridor itself. Our main goals included improving pedestrian and bicycle movements, overall safety, and of course drainage. Information gathered by the consultant included land use and zoning. This includes residential and commercial development that's out there. The Legion, convenience stores, and churches are throughout that area. Also drainage, areas where basins would be appropriate, transit, bus routes, and traffic counts. There's approximately 1,000 to 1,500 vehicles per day that use that road. In our corridor concept, this is a little hard. This is a slide that's a little hard to see. Thank you, Karen. Moving from west to east, we start at Carmichael Avenue, and this shows the new curb, gutter, and sidewalk proposed, along with 33 on-street parking spots. And the sidewalk also connects to the park path, but we've included that. Going to the cross section, this again starts at Carmichael, and we move east towards First Avenue. We have 60 feet of right-of-way here, so we've included the on-street parking. And just to tell you, a Sharrow is a lane marking indicating both bicycle movement through that travel lane, along with cars. Next, our right-of-way drops down to 50 feet, so we don't have as much right-of-way through the area that's from 3rd Street to 5th Street. So instead of on-street parking, we've included a little bit more landscaping in that area. And then the closer we get to 7th Street, between 5th and 7th Street, there's a lot of businesses and homes that have kind of not allowed us to expand the right-of-way. So we have 35 feet in that area, but we have included sidewalk and 12-foot lanes.
So we're doing the sidewalk basically for the residents. There's a park on the west end and there's a convenience store on the east end. So it's to help pedestrian traffic, sidewalk and the bikes.
Are there any sidewalks there now?
In the city section, yes. That's closer to the Carmichael. Our consultant is scheduled to be done by the end of January 2023. And they're finalizing the working papers, design plans, and cost estimates right now.
So the other project we have with the service MPO is Mosen Road, and that's the consultant on that is Michael Baker. And this was just a scoping study to find out what improvements we can do to Mosen Road. So this started in July of this year, and then we completed January, February. We had a pre-scoping meeting to decide what needs to be done, sight distance with vertical curves on that road, the amount of traffic and the curb cuts from the driveways, and then the real big dip section where car canyon wash crosses the road, that will either be a bridge or multiple box culverts. So the turning movements we have on that, the cross sections and the stormwater, there is not adequate culverts on the road. We will be increasing that at least to pass the 10-year event underneath the road. We probably still at times have water flowing over the road, but it will be a lot less than there is today. And that's just because we don't have relief in the washes that cross the road. They're not real deep. Some of them, they're pretty shallow. We're feeding right away now. The county is doing that where there's 160 total parcels that front Mosen Road. Of those, we don't have completed right-of-way, perfected right-of-way on 47 of the parcels. So the county is acquiring the right-of-way for those at a cost of approximately about $500,000. Then this year, we will do an IGA with ADOT and Service MPO and with the board to get the design funds from the MPO of $1 million so that we can design this project. ADOT being that there's federal funds for construction can probably be $10 million to construct the project, the complete project. We might have to phase that in depending what kind of funding we can get through grants. So we will have an IGA and ADOT will initiate it and to get the design contractor on board. And then we will go for grants. And this is just an example. There will be a left turn lane on Mosen at Ramsey. They're still studying if we'll have a left turn on Ramsey. And then there's a few other major intersections that they're still studying to see if we'll have left turn lanes or not. We'll have some no passing zones, but with all the existing curb cuts we have on this road, it's hard to put in a two-way left turn lane, then you'd have no passing for the whole 9 miles road, which people don't want. And to make it a 4-lane road, at this point, there's not enough traffic to justify the cost of a 4-lane road. So that's Mosen Road. And we'll have the design probably take 9 months to a year. So this time next year, we will at least have some preliminary designs completed. Then for the county for the staffing for our right-of-way section, we average about 25 calls a month. People inquiring, do they need a permit, come clean out my driveway, come clean out the culverts, and we don't. The county does it in its operations, public works, but we don't maintain people's driveways. They get a permit from us to put in their driveway, and it's their responsibility to maintain the driveway. And we have commercial reviews, about 12 per month, and that's with development services. For special use, people are wanting a special use on their parcel, commercial use, rezonings, and right-of-ways. Inspections, we have 2 inspectors, one's for the northern part of the county, and they have about 41 open permits per month. So an open permit doesn't mean that it's just a one-time inspection. Each permit takes approximately 3 inspections. Some of the permits, they're open they have a year to get the construction done, but if it's a utility, it can take them 4 or 5 months, and so there's multiple inspections on that. And then in the southern part of the county, the inspections, the open permits is about 62. Because there's more activity in the southern part, there's more density of population and homes being built. And we had total 625 right-of-way permits this last year. Special events, we had 17, and that was for bike events, run and walk events, and parades. And we will be coming to the board next year to increase our fee for the special events. The one bicycle event we had, that was the
El Toro de Zona.
There was probably about 60 to 100 staff hours just on that event because that was a multi-city event. The Sierra Vista, they biked to Bisbee, then they biked to Tombstone. And that was a combination with City of Sierra Vista, Bisbee, Tombstone, DPS, Sheriff and Sheriff Assist Team, and the Arizona Rangers. So that took a lot of coordination because we all got together to make sure that it was going to coordinate, that we had all the same type of traffic control through every agency. And then we had 66 oversized permits. This is Davis Road, and this vehicle here is about 22 feet wide. Some of the oversized permits we have on Davis Road, they can be 24 feet wide. There's some that have been 26 feet wide. And the largest weight I've seen go through was 1,000,000 pounds. Oh, what? 500 tons. But that's still, the one truck had, 900 tires on it. Or 90 tires, sorry, 90 tires. Yeah. Factor of 10. So it does. And when you have these wide loads, this is why Davis Road is, with the POE going in, this is the major corridor that we have for freight. And when you have a wide load go through that's over 16 feet wide, you have DPS and they're running you off the road. This is why Davis Road is, one of the higher traffic roads for semis that we have, and that we need to keep the right-of-way clear, because when you're run off the road, if it's stormy, they run off the road, it's muddy, they get stuck. And just past here, the drainage ditch there is like 3 feet deep, and if it's running full of water and you're not from the area, you don't realize that. And so people have gotten stuck. And then this is, the load. So you would, half the car would be here, half the car would be back on that. But there have been, but you would have to get completely off the road. So that does make it a concern with safety on this road. And the signing, we're updating our signpost to the square tubing. This will make it efficient when the signs need to be replaced. And this would be a 10-year project. This is year 1 of it. We've completed Charleston Road with the square tubing. They did 386 anchors and posts. So when a sign gets hit today or the wind damages it, and the wind damage on the U-channels we have, they'll twist the post and just snap it. This is more sturdier for resisting that twist because it's square instead of the U-channel. And when the sign gets hit, then the inspector has to go out, mark where the sign was, call in blue sticks to get the utility located before we can even replace the sign, even though we know, there's no utilities, and we still have to go through that process.
And it takes them 3 days to go and mark. We have to wait 3 days for them
To put the sign in. With this, it has an anchor in the ground with this post just slipping in the anchor. So if a sign gets hit, you just pull out the damaged part, put in a new sign, so it's a one trip to it. So this will increase efficiency, in the future. So we do in a month about 400 signs and post. We had 100 blue sticks that we called in last year, so there was 100 signs that were damaged that you had to replace the post.
in 1 month, Jackie.
1 month, oh.
100 blue stakes per month.
So that's a lot of time that we've spent. And then the nighttime inspections we do during the winter. So we do have to inspect all the signs for reflectivity and the sign markings, and we do that in the winter because it's dark. And this is just an example of, this sign was Old Fort Grant Road. It was probably damaged from the wind that just snapped it off there. And the stop sign, we do put the stop signs on barricades when they're down, but with the new system, this sign would already be up. In structures, we have 60 bridge structures that are inspected by ADOT. Of those structures, 2 are rated functionally obsolete. So functionally obsolete means that the bridge, you wouldn't design it like today, like Hereford Road Bridge, it's a 1-lane bridge. So it's functionally obsolete. It's a brand new bridge in the last 10 years. So it's structurally okay, but it's obsolete because it's a 1-lane bridge. And then the 5 that we have that are structurally deficient, that means they need to be repaired. They're old. A lot of our bridge structures are over 50 years old. So we're going to hire a consultant to rate those bridges and come up with a design. We're not structural engineers on staff, so we have to go to a consultant to design those and to get us a 20-year replacement plan so we can replace those bridges. And some of them are actually bridge structures and some are box culverts. And then the project that we have this year was replacing the box culverts. And these were not rated as a bridge. They're just smaller box culverts. On Leslie Canyon, we had the 2, one at milepost 8.6, one at 10, and then Geronimo Trail at milepost 8. We've completed that design in-house. That is completed. We're finalizing the specifications in January, and then we will advertise this project out to bid by February. And we'll do all 3 of those culverts at one time in one project. That will save us on mobilization costs from the contractor because they're all relative close to each other. This year we added pavement section on, this is Shelton Road, this is Canvas Settlement Road, to widen this turn lane here so that when the semis are coming this way, they don't have to go like this to get back into the lane. And this was in cooperation with the dairy. There was a overhead power line right here, a pole that we had to relocate, and they paid for the cost of that relocation. They helped with that cost. And then these are our major roads that we have in the county with the highest, not necessarily the highest passenger car vehicles, but the highest truck traffic. And we tested this for the asphalt at a cost of $45 million.
45,000.
It's not my database. 45,000.
I think we're full of heroes.
And so this is 80 miles. If you add all these up, it's 80 miles. And at $1 million a mile just to do a mill and fill in project, this would be $80 to $120 million. So, you know, we will go for grants, but it will take a time to get all these roads fixed. And so one road that we need to do, I think, is Washington. We did chip seal it, but I think we need to add some asphalt on top of that project. And then Davis Road, as we said, Davis Road has 3 different projects on it. From Central to 191, we have plans that are 95% complete, and those started 2015, 2016, and we're acquiring right away on 10 parcels now. And that is with the new port of entry. This is to increase the turning radius there at Davis Road and to upgrade this road to a 2-lane section with 8-foot shoulders. So when those wide loads go through and you run off the road, at least have pavement to go onto of 8 feet so that you're not running into the ditch. The construction for this would be a minimum $2 million, be $2 to $3 million. The plans, we need to go back to the consultant just to finalize the plans. With the new port of entry going in, they anticipate we could get 50% increase in truck traffic. Some of the traffic from the existing traffic from El Paso and Nogales will come to, they anticipate to come to the Douglas port of entry. Then we have drainage structures. There was 3 projects on Davis Road. Milepost 5, 9, and 13. We've completed milepost 9. So at 5 and 13, the projects are designed. We have right-of-way. We just have to update the NEPA clearance, which just pretty much is a letter. And the cost of those 2 projects is $6 million. We do have a congressionally directed spending grant from Senator Mark Kelly of $3 million. We won't know if that's actually completed through the budget cycle that Congress is doing, but if they pass the budget and it survived all the cuts that they negotiate when they're passing the budget, then we will have $3 million to do that project.
We should know a little bit more, hopefully December 16th.
If Congress passes the budget.
Is that for both?
Well, the $6 million, yes, we would have to, we have $3 million in our budget that we could do this. This is a very high priority project due to the truck traffic. If you're down at milepost 13 and you're going to Douglas, you know, if you're a semi, you can't turn around on that road. You have to wait, and it could be 5 or 6 hours before the water goes down and you could cross. So these are the 2, and at milepost 5,
They won't be Taj Mahal bridges like the other ones, will they?
they will be culverts like the other one. And the milepost 5, that's a sharp curve, and so it's realigning that curve to lessen the curves to make it safer also. And then, yeah, it's not, there's not the amount of water flowing through it as 9, so it's not going to be as big. It was massive. Yes. Karen worked on those projects.
And then I ran away. Sorry.
And then from 80 to Central, we have the project assessment was completed in 2016. We will acquire right-of-way, approximately $1 million. The design would be a minimum $2.5 million, probably $2 to $4 million for design. The construction phase would be a minimum of $1 million a mile with the shoulders and the drainage improvements. So we will put in for a grant this year for $25 million to get it designed, acquire the rest of the right-of-way, and then if there's money left over, we would construct a certain phase, so it would start phase. The project,
Let the record show it's 2.5 instead of 25 million.
2.2, well, the 25 million is the grant, so yes. And the the right-of-way we're acquiring here is 200 feet. The anticipated traffic on this road in the future will be a 4-lane divided highway after ADOT upgrades 191 and 80. So we're acquiring the right-of-way today for the future development of 20, 50 years, but we will only construct a 2-lane road with 8-foot shoulders. But we would have the right-of-way to construct the rest of it at the point in time that needs to be done. So this is just an area on Davis Road. This is Davis and 191. And this is a real long, just some of the type of vehicles that go through there. And they, you have to stop traffic. Some of these roads then go on to I-10 and they're so
It couldn't even
wide.
get off the interstate, could it?
Well, they
Have to shut down the interstate.
you have to shut down the interstate because to go westbound, you can't get underneath 90 there.
Mhm.
And so then they shut down eastbound traffic to go westbound so you can take that on-ramp as an off-ramp to get on 90. Yes.
And then it goes to Davis Road.
And I believe, Chair English, you were at the public meeting that we held down in that area where we had a at-scale drawing of this intersection with 2 little vehicles and trucks and stuff. And at the end of that meeting, well, not even the end, very quickly, everyone, we had 100% agreement. Yep, that intersection needs to be improved because they couldn't make that turn.
Turn.
Yeah.
So this is Davis Road. This is the alignment. We have some sharp curves here that we will lessen to widen the radius. This is milepost 5. This is 9 that's already completed. And, no, that's not 13 there. It's not on the straight. But anyway, those are where the roads are, the culverts that we're doing for the watersheds. So this is 22 miles of road and only 8 culverts underneath the road, excluding milepost. But it lacks a lot of drainage on that road. There's a lot of places that it just goes over the road. So this is the existing road, 2 12-foot lanes, a 2-foot shoulder. Future road, 2 12-foot lanes, an 8-foot paved shoulder for safety of people getting off the road. And then we also have a 6-to-1 slope on the shoulder for single vehicles that run off the road. Hopefully then they won't flip, they will stay level. And then this is Davis Road itself. Just some of the deterioration. I guess the asphalt's minimum 20 years old, but you can see crack sealant here. Then you chip seal it and you can't see the cracks, but it's still deteriorating road because of the heavy traffic. So we do need to mill and fill the asphalt that is on this road. And we did find that information out when we did the testing on the roads that we have. Any questions?
You said 20, isn't it? More like 40.
David, well, the paved section from 191, then it goes into Leslie Canyon Road, but we're not doing anything on that road, that part of it.
No, I meant when it was paved to begin with, wasn't it like 40 years ago?
Oh, some of it could be.
Had to be.
Yeah. This last part that they paved from like 47, I don't have it written down, but it was, yes, there's multiple times different projects on that for maintenance.
Okay. Any questions or comments?
Mr. Maddox, is this PowerPoint going to be on the county website?
Supervisor Crosby, it is posted on the
Any questions, Ms. Judd?
No, it's very exciting to see what we're doing with our roads, and I always wish we could do more, but it's good to see it and see the cost and understand how much it is. And even if we got some of the multiplication by 100 today, that was just fun. But it makes us think. Anyway, I really appreciate it. Thank you, Jackie, and also Karen for talking about the. Oh, I did have a comment. If we could go back, if everyone can just think a minute about the Theater Drive. Sierra Vista and the county have worked really hard to improve that area and clean it up and get property, like Ms. Trawick's always doing, get property fixed, taken off the rolls and taken out of there. This is the culmination of a lot of work that they've done in that community, and it's a major road into that community that has been improved, and I think we should all be really proud of all the work that they've done in there and that we've done in there. So I wanted to bring that up. Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? So, thank you for the up-to-date on the engineering and natural resources, and I think it's your engineering brain that keeps adding those zeros, because every time we look at a project, it's got more zeros than it did before.
I'll keep going up.
And the engineering, I thought it was kind of typical when you showed me one of those, that the engineering was more than the putting the project together.
Some of our, it's a lot of study phases.
Yeah, I mean, $2 million to study it and $1 million to do it, So, thank you. Nothing else. I don't know if we'll have another meeting with you before Christmas vacation, but Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Happy New Year. Nothing more?
Our next meeting
Are
is
we
today.
meeting again? Okay.
One.
Next meeting today will be at 1:30 with the environmental health.
Yep.
So I'll see other people at the environmental health. Work session adjourned. Thank you all.